Hello there, and a very warm welcome to Chazingdra Chats, the show where we take a stroll through the life stories of people in the Pokemon community, discovering the 6 Pokemon on their dream team along the way. I'm Charlie Merriman, otherwise known as Chazingdra, a host and commentator for the Pokemon Video Game Championship Series and a content creator. And my guest this week is the incomparable Shai Burton. Shai, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for having me. I was excited to talk about Pokemon and some other stuff here as well. I'm sure it's going to be a fun time.
It certainly will. And for anyone who doesn't know you, could you tell us a little bit about yourself, Shai?
Yeah, so like Charlie, I also commentate Pokemon, but not the video game. I commentate the trading card game. So as always, I'm never too far away from some cards, as you can see. Um,
Smooth.
So yeah, like I planned that. So yes, I think how many I've done quite a few of it, maybe like 11 or something like this. Did some casting for Limitless before TPCI took over in the EU. Been playing the Pokemon card game for about since like 2011, 2010, I'd like to say, somewhere in that ballpark. Been playing the game since I was, like 7 years. I was a very small. And yeah, now I just play the card game, commentate the card game, all the manner of Pokemon, really.
It's all good stuff. Yeah, of course, you and I know each other through casting. And I always know it's going to be a fun event when Shai is on the roster because you're there. Hashtag bringing the noise
Yeah,
to the TCG stream. You've really made Bring the Noise a trademark, haven't you?
yeah. There's a song back in the day by how is it called, Public Enemy, and the chorus just goes, "Bring the noise," and as soon as I heard it, I was like, "Yo, that right there is a slogan." And then when I was lucky enough to get asked to cast, I was like, right, if I'm lucky enough to get to this again, this is going to be my phrase right here. And I've just ran with it ever since. Yeah, because if you've seen the broadcast or you've seen doing interviews, if you don't watch the TCG, I just like to get loud and excited and enthusiastic. So yeah, I think that just encapsulates all that in 3 words.
That is. It's not even 2 minutes into the podcast, and that is a fascinating nugget to hear. I didn't realize that was the story behind it.
Yeah,
Okay.
there it is.
Is it Public Enemy, did you say?
Public Enemy, yes.
Nice, nice. Okay. Well, there you go. And that is just the start. So what I want to know though, as we get into the episode, as we get to know you better and learn your handpicked 6 Pokemon,
Yeah.
have you always had this larger than life energy? And I know we're starting today with your first foray into Pokemon. Were you bringing the noise even back then?
Yeah, I'd say so. I've always been this loud, boisterous geezer ever since like school. If you ask some players who have known me from school, actually, all the way back in the day, yeah, I've always been here, there, and everywhere. It's hard to miss me. Yeah, that's the same for all hobbies, really. So I played basketball at a very high level, and I was the same there. Done a lot of sports actually, but yeah, I'm always loud, super enthusiastic. I think that's something that I take a lot in levels like work, content creation, casting. I find that if you're just fully enthusiastic about stuff, good things tend to happen, and that can separate you from like the other 80% of applicants or work or whatever. So yeah, super loud and enthusiastic, because at the end of the day, no one's going to make more noise about what you're doing than you. So you have to make sure you do it, and hopefully other people will as well.
God, the life lesson's already coming out.
Yeah,
That's a
man.
really good point. Thanks, Shai. So back then, we're going to start talking about your first foray into Pokemon, aren't we?
Yes. So I think 6 or 7. I think, yeah, 6 or 7. My dad came home one day with a copy of Pokemon Gold and a Game Boy Color. It was the purple see-through one. I think see-through tech was so cool. I wish they'd bring that back. And I don't think I actually knew anything about Pokemon before I started playing the game, actually. So started playing the game, got hooked straight away. I remember I must have put about 400 hours into that Pokemon Gold cartridge save, because when I was a kid, I got to Ice Path, and I just couldn't get through. I was like, goodness gracious me. So I would just go back. You can ring the trainers up on the phone on that game, right? Rematch them over and over and over again. I had about like 3 level 100s, and I was still at Ice Path, right? and then one time, I don't know how, I got through. And then, so like Claire was a breeze, Elite Four was a breeze, Champion was a breeze. The whole of Canada, even Red, was a breeze. And I remember, because I thought back in the day, the longer a Pokemon had a move, the stronger it was. So I thought my Feraligatr with Scratch. Oh, he was whacking everyone. So I remember I like one shot Red's Pikachu with Scratch. Like have some of that, and then eventually when I grow up and hear about everyone have this legendary fight with Red, I was like, it wasn't quite the same for me. You know what I mean? And I think that Feraligatr had Surf, Strength, and Cut as well.
Classic.
So, yeah. Just I remember. Goodness gracious. So, yeah, that was my first foray into Pokemon. I think from there, I watched the anime a little bit as well. But in the early days, definitely just a video game geezer.
Yeah. Well, you've got to have those HMs on your team, haven't you?
Well, someone's going to have them.
Exactly. On your Feraligatr with Scratch as well. That's fair enough. That's a fair enough thing to think. Sometimes you've got moves in the video game like Water Spout, for example, that does more damage but more health your Pokemon has.
Yeah.
Sometimes I still have to remind myself that not every move works like that.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll just lock into any other move and just think, oh, well, that's not going to do anything now because I'm on such low health. It's it's weird how sometimes different moves play tricks with you. But it'd be interesting if that were true.
I was about to say, especially back then when the internet wasn't really a thing, right? It wasn't easy to look up information. So I just thought, wow, he's had Scratch since he was level 5. This must be, it hasn't done me wrong yet. So
yeah. I can see why you'd think that as well, because obviously your Totodile evolves and it's doing more damage with the same move. But yeah, that's, wow. That's so. Gold's got to hold a special place in your heart.
Yeah, like I remember, I think it was on Olivine City. My Croconaw evolved. I had no clue it was going to evolve, right? I was skipping around my grandma's house like, yo! Well, obviously I have no clue what's going on. I'm like, it just evolved! Look, it just evolved! They're like, what do you mean? I'm like, literally like giddy as anything. Like, just fun times all the way back then, yeah. So all the way since Gen 2. And then I did go back and play like, Red and Blue afterwards, but Gen 2 was my my entry point to the franchise, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. And what an entry point it was. So that's a nice launch pad then, Shane, to asking about what the first Pokemon is on your dream team. So the aim here is not for Shai to build the best team, but to choose any Pokemon at all that are special to him in some way. And Shai's decided on his Pokemon in advance. I have no idea what he's chosen. So let's find out.
Okay, well, I'm glad you said that I wasn't meant to pick the strongest team because I definitely haven't done that. These are all Pokemon. I think if I was to if I could just pluck them into reality, they all got some sort of use or some sort of reason. So, and I'll explain these reasons. So I'll actually go with a Gen 2 one, since we're just talking about gold. Sunflora.
Okay.
Sunflora. I adore Sunflora so much. It's a shame Sunflora hasn't really had a good card ever in the history. But the reason I love Sunflora so much is that if I was to say to you, Charlie, if you was having a bad day, right, and a Sunflora just dropped down in front of you, your bad day's gone. Sunflora just makes things happy. So that's why I love Sunflora. Like, nothing made me happier than in the Scarlet Violet. We had to run around finding the Sunflora. Oh my goodness. I was joyful. I just wish maybe in the new Gen 6, maybe there'll be some sort of Mega Sunflora, and maybe I can get a semblance of a competitive Sunflora. But for now, it doesn't matter. I still love her.
Yeah, you're right. There are quite a few. I feel like, especially in Gen 2, quite a few Pokemon who just are needing a little bit of a power boost.
Yes.
I think something like Sunflora, something like Ledian, maybe Ariados.
Ariados, top shout that, yeah.
I love that. I love that as your first Pokemon as well. And you're so right. It's just beaming all the time.
Yeah. Like anyone, viewers at home, bring up a picture of Sunflora right now and tell me you can be sad looking at Sunflora. It's just not going to happen. It's just not. And then in Scarlet Violet, we're running around looking all like floppy and that. Oh, come on, man. It's too good. So yeah, Sunflora.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And you can see Sunflora on your screen right now, actually. So yeah, if you've still got that frown on your face, I don't know what is still doing that. No, that's a really good choice. Really good choice. So was Sunflora on your first playthrough of Gold?
No, I don't think it was, funnily enough. I probably ended up throwing away my Sunstone or something stupid. So
sure, yeah. Who needs that when you can teach your Feraligatr strength?
Yeah, exactly. What, cut Feraligatr? Oh, you're in for a treat. Especially since I'm sure Cut and Scratch are both normal 40 power moves. I'm like, it's complete redundancy. Like looking back, I'm like, oh no. And then Strength was normal as well.
I feel like cut might be slightly stronger. It might be something like 50.
Oh,
but
you
only
might be
slightly.
right. You might be right.
So, yeah. Well, anyway, great Pokemon on your team, and we'll find out your remaining 5 picks in due course. But for now, I believe we're moving on to secondary school or high school.
Yeah. So I think I'm 29, viewers. So if anyone around my kind of age might be able to relate to this. So primary school, Pokemon was buzzing. And then you get into secondary school, and you're like, hold on, mate, maybe this is little kiddie stuff. Let's put that to the side a little bit. So I think years 7 through I'd say 9, maybe the start of year 10. Didn't really play Pokemon as much. Put it down a little bit. And so I was still a gamer though, but I ended up playing, games like Oblivion, Elder Scrolls Oblivion. Loved that. Get paid so much. What a crazy game. One of my favorite all-time game moments actually was when first got the Xbox 360. Actually, popped in Oblivion was my first game, and then have you played it before, Charlie? Oblivion.
My girlfriend is a big fan of Skyrim.
Okay.
So I know quite a bit about it actually, but no, Oblivion I'm not so familiar with, but I definitely love the vibe.
Yeah, I'm trying to. So there's a similar moment actually in Skyrim. So when you do the sort of intro, I guess, when you come out of prison, and I think you've just had your arms unshackled and you can like see everything. The world is now yours, right? Now that was a good moment, but in Oblivion, I think it was 10 times better. Like, because you like come out of some sewers, and like your eyes adjust to the light, a bit like Fallout, and you just think,
Yeah.
oh my goodness, I can do anything I want right now. Golly. So yeah, that was one of my favorite gaming moments. I played a lot of Oblivion and then Fallout and Elder Scrolls Skyrim as well. But then a lot of Forza Motorsport, actually 100% did 3 and 4. That must be about 500 hours over 2 of them, like crazy. And then obviously Call of Duties and NBAs as well. I played a lot of them back then.
Sure, yeah. I'm 30, Shai, so yeah, I am fully am on board with that. Yeah, I feel like it sort of comes full circle, doesn't it?
Yes.
You pivot away from that sort of thing, and then you realize, well, if I enjoy it, why would I deprive myself of that?
Yeah, 100%. I think as we got older, which we'll get onto later, but when you get older, it's just like you think, oh, I don't care. Like this is too good. It's too fun. So, but yeah, I did enjoy a lot of those gaming time back now. A lot of Mass Effect as well, actually. Played a lot of that. 1, 2, and 3, I should say. What was I play back then? Played a whole lot of stuff on the 360. That's fun times, ain't it? Back in the days with your boys, you get on the party chats and all them.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's good to experiment with different kinds of games as well. I feel like at this point, Pokemon is just kind of like its own genre of game.
It really
There's
is.
nothing that can quite replicate the Pokemon experience. So I don't think it's any surprise that people keep coming back to it.
No, I agree 100%. So yeah, that was secondary school. I think in that time as well, started playing a lot more sports seriously. That's when I started playing basketball at national level. I did a bit of boxing, played baseball at quite a high level as well, actually. So
oh wow,
yeah, played a lot of sport. I was a sporty kid back then.
Yeah, very nice. It's basketball at national level, you said.
Yeah, so I played for Coventry, which is where I live now and where I lived back then. So that was nationally, so we're playing like, teams up and down the country. Had trials for West Midlands. That's like the next level up. Did okay. Didn't quite make the West Midlands squad though. I think to be fair, I was just athletic. I wouldn't say, I mean, I was good, but when you get to that level, you have to be more than good, right? I couldn't just rely on running faster than everyone else because I just wasn't the fastest anymore. And then when I aged up to, which would have been from under 18s up to like men's, golly, like geez, like I'm like 5'9", 5'10" in that ballpark, right? And then you age up, you got like 6'7" monsters. I'm like, coach, I can't do nothing about that. Are you mad? Like, have you seen? Golly. So, yeah, I had to just knock it on the head. I was like, I am no longer competitive. I can't hang at this level no more.
Yeah.
Like, playing time was going down, and I was just like, okay, well, it was fun basketball. So what I'll do instead, I started getting in the gym and doing more bodybuilding and stuff, and training more properly, and that's what I ended up doing instead. Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, as someone who's 5'6", yeah, I mean, I can't fathom the of the people you were dealing with there. Yeah, that's great that you had that outlet beyond video games as well to explore. But But coming back to the video games,
Yeah.
what is the second Pokemon on your team?
Hold on, let's see if I can link this together. I did last time with Gen 2. Okay, let's have a look. Okay, so what were we just talking about? Sports. Well, let's pick a sporty one because there are some. I'm going to go with Infernape. Infernape makes the cut. And Infernape's here because I feel as if you had an Infernape, you could spar Infernape and it'll keep you quick, it'll test you, you know what I mean? Because Infernape gets like Mach Punch, gets Vacuum Wave as well, so you're having to duck and dive from that. So yeah, I think Infernape was there for a fun time. I think Infernape, be in the gym, training with Infernape, we can go out, kick it, running around the place, play some sports. I think Infernape would be a sporty Pokemon, all things considered. So Infernape's just there for a fun time and to keep myself all chiseled, really.
Yeah. It's a very good shout. I feel like maybe there'd be a rivalry spring out between you and Infernape.
Yeah, exactly.
Trying to outdo each other.
Also,
in a healthy way.
Yeah, definitely. And Infernape as well, like what, Gen 4, 5, and 6? That has to be the most versatile Pokemon ever. Like that, you send that Pokemon out, your opponent has not got a clue what's going on. So in this universe where I've just put 6 Pokemon out, on the off chance someone else has put 6 Pokemon and they want to fight, I'm like, yo, I'll send out my Infernape first. You ain't got a clue what's happening. Am I Stealth Rocking? Am I U-turn? Am I choice anything? It doesn't matter. Am I White Herb? You ain't got a clue. So I think Infernape would be good in that scenario as well.
Yeah, good. And it's good balance with Sunflora as well. Sunflora Grass, Infernape Firefighting.
Oh, true. Could be one little Sunny Day team. Let's go.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Interestingly, Lee, who I had on last week, also had Infernape.
Really? Why did Lee like Infernape? What was the reason there, real quick?
Infernape. So Lee was going very much on the Pokemon that have done well for him competitively.
Oh, fair enough. That makes sense.
So he was... Infernape, for a while now, hasn't been so popular, but back in the day, as you're saying, had a lot of tricks up its fiery sleeves. So, yeah, that's interesting. Interesting there's an overlap there. Good answer. All right, so I think then we're going from secondary school and Infernape, and it's interesting that you bring up Infernape here, because we're going on to Pokemon Platinum now, I believe.
Yeah, so coming in around secondary school, I think I got these timelines right. So I think Platinum either came out when I was late in year 9 or year 10-ish, somewhere in that ballpark. Mm-hmm. And I remember I was on YouTube, and I don't know if you know. You ever heard of Maryland? Maryland YouTuber.
It rings a bell.
Yeah, so they were a super popular Let's Play Pokemon channel back in the day. They wouldn't even screen record. I didn't even realize until later on. They had the DS open and they point the camera at it. So that's how old we're talking. That's what. And I remember, I can't remember what the thumbnail was. I think it might have been Cynthia's Spirit Tomb, and I was like, "What is that? That looks cool." Clicked on the video. And then from now, I was like, yo, this Platinum game looks crazy. There's Giratina Pokemon's coming out of here. Like, what? I'm like, yo, I need to get back in. So, hop back in, playing Pokemon Platinum. And that's when I was like, yo, okay, Pokemon's not for kids anymore. You have Pokemon like Infernape, Magmortar, Weavile, Lucario, Infernape, all the starters, actually. And I was like, okay, no, this right here, I should never have left. So I went back, played all Gen 4. I think I did actually play Gen 3 as a kid as well. But, I went back, played Diamond and Pearl. Oh, Heart Gold, Soul Silver, actually. Because, I definitely missed that. I had to go back afterwards. I was like, okay, Pokemon, I see you. And it was around this time, actually, something like 2011, maybe 2012. I was just walking around my friends in town, and we saw Forbidden Planet. And I was like, what's all that about? And he's like, oh, they sell, quote unquote, geeky stuff in there. I'm like, yo, okay, let's have a look. Never been in there before, so I saw all the Harry Potter ones, all the Lord of the Rings stuff, all the what are they called, mangas, all them.
No.
And I was like, oh, yeah, this is pretty cool in this shop. And I was like, what's that behind the counter? And he's like, oh yeah, that's their Pokemon cards. I was like, oh yo, should we buy some of them just for the crack? It's just a bit of fun. And the set back then, it was called Dark Explorers. And if anyone doesn't know, Dark Explorers was a heater set. There were some crazy cards in that set. I'd say, I just did a video looking at the best and worst cards from every Pokemon set in history. And I was talking about Dark Explorers for a good few minutes, like 10 to 12 minutes. Talking about Dark Explorers, the set was that good. So started buying some cards from there. And that was it. After that, you just buy a couple more. And at that point, you're thinking, well, I'm looking at these cards, and I'm like, well, what is a support? I mean, I know he's like what Jack does in the game, but what is he? What does that mean? And what is all this HP business? Like, why is Iron Valiant doing more damage than Metagross? How's that working out then? So, got on there. Once how the game was played, hopped on YouTube and found the Top Cut channel, which was Puka Sukovic, who, if anyone knows, there's a lot of the commentating for TPCI, works for TPCI now as well, actually. He was like the biggest TCG YouTuber at the time. And he was really good at like blending fun decks, competitive decks, everything all in one. So I started to watch him a lot. And yeah, got involved with the game from there.
I see. Wow. So, I mean, it's really interesting to hear first of all, that it was the video game that was your way in, and from years back.
Yes.
And then, so are you saying that when you're in that Forbidden Planet shop, that was the first time you'd ever seen Pokemon cards?
No, I think when I was super young, I had Pokemon cards.
Okay.
But I never took the game seriously.
Sure.
It's probably worth noting, actually. Around this time, I went into Forbidden Planet. I was playing a lot of what would it have been then? Gen 5? I played a lot of Smogon. Only singles, though. And I've said this very openly, if VGC was singles, I would not be playing a card game right now. Because I played a lot of singles. I was chatting to Lee back in what was it? Where was we? Dortmund. Yeah. We got like the train together from the airport. And I was like, on Gen 6, they had this thing, I think it's called Battle Spot, maybe, where you'd go on the matchmaking, right? And let's say I matched you. I can see your team. You can see my team. However, you only pick 3. I pick 3. I played that so I love that. The mind games. Oh my goodness. So I said, if VGC was that rule set, let's say they did a regional tomorrow, that was that rule set, I'm hopping in. I'm getting involved. So I did play a lot of the video games and Smogon back then. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Singles. That's interesting. That's singles might become a little bit stally for it to be viable.
Yeah, no, that's 100% the reason why. It takes way too long. It takes way too long.
Yeah.
Because the games take a while.
Most of the battles in game are going to be singles, aren't they? So that's going to be most people's first experience.
Yeah, for sure.
Playing VG. Yeah. So no, it makes sense. Okay, right. And then Platinum was your way back into the video game. And then as soon as you learned the trading card game rules, were you entirely on that train? Did a part of you keep playing with the video game side of competition? Yeah.
Yeah. So I had one of my best friends. We both played together, as in the cards, but we also played the video game as well. Like, you had like Battle Maze on, I think, in Gen 6, where you could like 2 play against the AI. So we did still play a lot of video game and a lot of Smogon, a lot of online. I don't know. Whilst also playing the TCG socially with other friends. At this point, I had a few friends, maybe like a group of 4 of us that would play. So we go to the local card shop, grab some like tea or coffee, whatever, play over the course of the day. So yeah, did definitely do both. I don't know why I never really looked into VGC. I think in hindsight, maybe because there's not as many VGC local events as there is TCG events. Because back in the day, we had like, well, I guess you still do actually. I guess it's cities. There were cities back then. We had cities and league challenges. But I don't think, and feel free to take me if I'm wrong, but I don't think you get as many VGC events at that scale locally, especially not back then. So I think it was easier for me to get involved with the TCG competitively than it was VGC.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's an entirely valid reason. And we're now going to pivot back though into a little bit of VG and ask what your third Pokemon is.
All right, let's see. Who's the most VGC compatible?
So far we've had Sunflora and Inferno. And who's going to be joining them?
Well, I have to go. I know this Donny is very good in VGC, and if we're ever going to play VGC again, I have to make sure I do it with this funny single strike Urshifu. Come on. It's gotta be. Reason here, kind of similar to Inferno, to be fair. I'll be able to spar with single strike Urshifu. We'll be bobbing and weaving, but he is the favorite Pokemon. So I would what kind of a single shot Urshifu fan could I be if I was able to summon 6 Pokemon into real life and I not pick my favorite? So gotta be. Actually, it could be a funny story as to why it's my favorite as well. Because I know a lot of people be like, "Oh, you've got most recent gen," or guessed almost the most recent gen favorite. That's odd. Wow. Ever since I was young playing Pokemon Gold and all of them actually, I was like, why is there not a cool fighting type legendary? You know, I'm a very sporty guy, active guy. I want a cool fighting legendary. You know, Keldeo, Terrakion, they don't count. You know, they're goats. You know, that don't count. Arceus, Fighting Plate don't count. So, with that in mind, when I saw Urshifu, I was like, well, my prayers have been answered. You know, this is my boy, and especially with single strike one as well. Man just comes in, it's like what? Goes through that auto crit, goes through protect as well, right? I think, doesn't it? Wicked Blow.
Yeah. Well, with its punching moves, Unseen Fist, its ability.
That's even better. Yeah. But I'm like, yo, this guy's too much. So yeah, it was actually very playable at the TCG for a time as well. So
yeah.
Okay. So got a single strike Urshifu.
So I'm wondering why Terrakion, Keldeo, and so on don't count. I'm wondering if it's because they're on 4 legs.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah. Because like Lucario, like Mega Lucario, if that was a legendary, he would have counted.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. Single strike Urshifu. And then why single strike over rapid strike?
Just, you know, just pow! Like, it's a lot better than all this, you know, little triple kick nonsense. No, just doof! Like, just a bit of me.
That might be your answer.
Just a bit of me. But I guess when I did box, I was definitely more of a power puncher than I was a combination. So I guess I'm just sort of personifying myself into Pokemon. And I think Single Strike Urshifu is probably high up there. If I was to personify myself, Single Strike Urshifu, I think, would have to be high up there. So,
to be honest, the main reason why I asked that question was because I thought you'd make a sound effect. And you delivered.
You know me too well.
All right. What I like about that as well is you've got 2 fighting types on there, and you know that's a type that you're fond of. But Infernape being part fire type, that's actually going to take neutral damage from Fairy because those types balance each other out. Single Strike Urshifu takes doubly super effective damage from Fairy, but that's a nice but the fact that you've been able to get 2 fighting types on your team, and yet they complement each other quite well.
And I'm fairly certain Infernape gets bullet punch somehow as well. So
I'd have to check.
I think it does. I think it does. I could be wrong.
I wouldn't be surprised. I think you.
I think it's like an egg move. Let me.
Well,
I will check that.
Okay, so we're moving on from your first experience of TCG into what you call the fun era.
The fun era, yes. So the fun era. So when was this? This would be, early 20s. So yeah, this was when I first started playing. I was just playing all for fun. I would take the most craziest, jankiest deck ideas, and I'd kind of make them work a little bit. Like I would get to some semblance of like I wasn't just falling over. Like I was winning some games. I'd probably bat neutral. So I was just playing for so much fun. And I just play my favorite Pokemon. I think, like for example, there was this Togekiss card where if you would evolve into it, you can look at the top 8 cards of your deck and you can attach as many energy as you find there. Now, traditionally, Togekiss is a stage 2 Pokemon, so it's hard to get that into play. And then you've also got every chance that you look at your top 8 and there'd be no energy there. So you'll have to skew your whole deck to get this Togekiss out, and it's not even guaranteed, right? So, I went to a league challenge and I was running amok. I think at one point I was like 2-0 or 3-0, and everyone's like, "What's going on?" And someone next to me, but like, I'm so glad I'm sitting next to you so I get to watch this. And I'm just like, "This is what you don't know me. This is what I do." Like, so yeah, I was just having so much fun. And then as I get into sort of a bit later on, this is when I started personal training as a job career. So at that point, I had more disposable income because luckily for me, business was quite good. So yeah, I'd go to all the regionals then, go to the events every weekend. My best friend, Demetrius Eaton, who finaled Toronto regionals not too long ago. We would just go up and down the country every weekend, just playing like league challenges and league cups. So yeah, super fun time. And I think that brings us up towards the Sun and Moon era. So quite a big gap there. But yeah, so that takes up to the Sun and Moon era.
I see. Okay, yeah, so the personal training going on alongside. So that's also a nice follow-on from what you were saying about you pivoted away from basketball more into
Yes,
weight
100%.
training
Yeah,
and
yeah,
bodybuilding.
yeah. I just found myself really loving the gym, loving the sort of how it helps you with your mental health and all that, you know, helps you with confidence as well. All that jazz. And I just thought, well, if I can help other people go through the transformation and feel as good as I do at the end, you know, and get paid for it at the same time, that's wild. So some of my fun memories was, because I was at a Pure Gym, was like getting to run the exercise classes.
Oh, nice.
Just the reason I loved it so much was I get to be loud and boorish as I always am. But then I got to play my own music, and I think the only thing I might like more than Pokemon is like music. I listen to music all the time. If you was to check my YouTube Premium hours watched on a daily, it is silly because there's always music on. So being able to just blast the songs that I like whilst helping people, you know, transform themselves and be loud and boorish at the same time. Oh, it was just a fun time. It was all fun.
I bet you were amazing at that job.
Yeah, I'd like to think so. Like, business was good for a reason. But it was funny because the Pure Gym I worked at was Coventry Skyline, if anyone knows it, funnily enough. But you'd have to, the gym itself was on the first floor, right? So you have to walk in, go up quite a few stairs. Gym's on the first floor. And one of my clients said, as they were walking past the streets, so not even coming in, they could hear me shouting over the music when an exercise class. That's how loud I was. So I think that probably translates well into the casting and all that business. Why I'm so loud is because I was used to having to like talk and shout over music constantly the day. So I'm just used to just using the diaphragm, just project the voice. I just learned that on my own. So
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I can imagine the energy that you'd be bringing. And what sort of music would you be playing in those classes?
Oh, lot of house music, a little bit of techno if it wasn't too hard, because you have to keep it, you know, friendly for everyone else. People don't want to hit the hardcore techno, but yeah, a lot of house, a lot of heavy bass lines. That's like my sort of thing for sure. Just gets the blood pumping.
Yeah, you definitely channel that energy through on the TCG streams as well. Very nice. Okay. So let's go from that into your fourth Pokemon joining your dream team.
Oh,
so we've got some Flora Infernape, Urshifu Single Strike. Who's up next?
Okay, so I'm actually going to change this one. I've got to change it. I had Garchomp written down, but then I heard that Lee picked some Pokemon that he did well with, and I thought I should at least have one Pokemon that I've done well with. And we might cover this a bit more later, but I'm going to go with Pidgeot because EUIC 2016. I got what 6-3, so I think that's top 64, right? So technically, top 64, an IC. Let's go. But that was obviously a lot smaller back then. But I did it with Pidgeot. Don't get into too much detail, so I'm sure we're going to talk about this later. But that was a complete. No one knew what Pidgeot was doing. I must have put about 500 games in. It had such a weird win con, but I made it work. And I still think right now, if I was to, one of my losses was a tie instead, and I know which round it could have been as well, I would have day two'd with that crazy deck, and I would have never have let anyone live it down. That would have been in my Twitter bio to this day. Day two nicey with Pidgeot. So yeah, Pidgeot's going to make the team here, and I guess it makes sense to have a fly one as well. So if you want to like just fly somewhere, just hop on Pidgeot. Pidgeot's a good sized Pokemon. I'm sure Pidgeot could take the weight as it were, and fly around. And if I somehow stumble on the mega Pidgeotite, I got myself a Lord of the Skies right here. So yeah. So Pidgeot.
Yeah, you're right. No, Pidgeot, as you were saying with your HMs before, you've got to have a flyer on your team.
Yeah.
Pidgeot, classic as well. Back to Gen 1. No, I respect that.
Yeah.
And it's always nice to have that link to a Pokemon that maybe isn't so much on people's radars, right?
Yeah. I like showing some love to the underdogs. We got like some Flora as well. These are Pokemon traditionally that people, might get overlooked. Not with old Burts though. What the hell?
Yeah, good. No, I love that. There's a satisfaction that comes out of using those Pokemon that, trying to make your favorites work, like Karen says in the Johto Elite Four. Right?
Yeah, 100%, 100%. It always hits a little bit different. You do with a Pokemon that's your favorite, always.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, have that special connection to them. So then coming back to your life, Shai. So we've now, as you said, we've gone all the way up to the Sun and Moon era, and I believe the next thing you want to talk about is the Pandemic era.
Yeah, so that one right up. I was a personal trainer right up into the Pandemic. So was scary time to be a personal trainer because obviously gyms closed. So I was self-employed. So my money went from, what it was, which is very decent money, I'd like to say. And then it went down to like, could be as low as zero, right? Like if everyone doesn't want to train, which they can't, legally we can't train. So I was sitting at home. I was like, well, I ain't got nothing else to do really. So what I probably should have mentioned before actually was that I was on YouTube a little bit beforehand when I was going up and down the country with my friend. We just do like a little event vlogs. Like today we're in Loughborough. Here I am. I was playing this deck. Rah rah rah. So yeah, but nothing too serious. I still like maybe like little quiz videos. Nothing crazy. But then when I was in the lockdown, I was like, well, I can't really do anything at home now. Let me just. My exact thought process was, let me pretend this is my job. Let me just, because I got nothing else to do. So, because the cards were still coming out, the online client was still getting updated. So I'm like, yeah, let's just carry on with this. So started off doing like deck profiles, which would be like, I guess for VGC people might be like a team video where you like showcase a team, but like, this is all the parts of the team. Let's go ladder for a bit. That was like the bread and butter content back then for TCG. So, and again, that would lean to my sort of playing rogue and crazy stuff, was that I'd be doing videos that no one else on decks that no one else even thought about doing. So started doing that a lot. And I think at the time, because everyone was obviously as well stuck at home, viewership was like much higher. So it was easier to grow. So picked up some traction quite quick. I think I got monetized in like maybe like 4 or 5 months, which for TCG content, I think is quite rapid. So was doing that. Started doing loads of pre-release content. And I think it was around this time where I started to, don't want to sound like an idiot or anything, but I started to become a bit more of a name. People who sort of know who I was at this point, but oh yeah, you were the guy that played that silly deck online. Like, yeah, that was me. Yeah. So that was like getting the foundations in, I think, was around that time. And it was really fun. Literally just waking up, think, what am I going to film today? I'll film this and just go on there, start doing it. And it was around this time actually as well, I started to get into the sort of like the psychology of YouTube, social media. Because when I was PTing, I was one of the busiest people in the gym. And I think the main reason for that was that I was the only one that knew how to work Instagram for business properly, right? So I had the most Instagram followers out of all the PTs, and that was obviously just translating more to business. So I thought, well, how can I take that to like Pokemon card YouTube? Polar opposites, right? But how can I do that? And I've always had a problem solving mindset. So I was just like, okay, so this is probably transferable. This is transferable. So it was around that time where that sort of marketing brain started to, and business brain, I guess, started to get more focused towards Pokemon. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, very interesting. I mean, yeah, it's such an integral part of business these days, isn't it? Social media. And I mean, making videos for YouTube just pays dividends more than most other jobs, for sure. And then, yeah, I mean, clearly very entrepreneurial mindset, given that, in the pandemic, of course, you think, well, how can I make the most of this opportunity? How can I turn it into a positive almost?
Yeah.
Rather than thinking about the fact that I can't do my personal training anymore.
Yeah, I didn't want to come out. Well, obviously, it wasn't going to last forever, but what I didn't want to have happen was, pandemic end, normal life gets resumed, and I've got nothing to show for it. That would have been, because you'll never get a chance again. Touch wood, right? Like you'll never be at home for like 3 years. I mean, you can just zone in 100%, give effort 100%.
Yeah,
that was never happening again. So I was like, well, something needs to come of this, like something good at least.
Yeah,
so, and yeah, luckily.
Do you think that without the pandemic, you would have put so many eggs into the content creation basket? Do you think you'd have committed like you did?
Very good question. Maybe, but we're taking a lot longer. I think a lot longer, because I think before the pandemic, I started to do those sort of deck profiles, or I guess team showcase kind of videos, but I wasn't so invested in like the performance or the metrics, because I had a full-time job to do, like back at the gym, right? So I just come home, film for an hour, no edits, bish bash bosh, get it up, thumbnail, don't care, just 2 pictures of a card, get it up, didn't care. And it was mostly just for fun, but I think the sort of lockdown changed it from more fun for more of a businessy mindset kind of thing. And you know what they say, what gets measured gets improved, and I don't think that measuring process would have happened if it wasn't for that, or it might have done, would have been a much longer time frame, I think.
what gets measured gets improved. That's interesting. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, so it's a phrase you hear a lot in business and marketing, where it's like, if you want something to improve, you got to measure it. You have to measure the performance. So, for example, like back then, before the lockdown, I upload a video, don't care about the views, don't care about the comments. I just put it up there for fun. I might go watch it back. Maybe I'll pop it into Burbank City, which was like a Facebook group, big Facebook group, and see how that goes. And because I didn't really care about the performance just for fun, chances are over time the growth will be very small, if like negligible. So it took me a while to say that. Whereas now, when I was thinking, well, I'm not going to do this for nothing. I want these views to go up. How can I get these views to go up? You think, all right, so the views were on this one were like 200. This one was 100. Why was that? Was the title good on this one? Was the Pokemon more of a focus point here? So, when you just start to think about, well, what if you just start to measure, all of a sudden the cogs start to turn, and then that's when you start to see the improvement, I think. Which is the same for everything as well. Like even in sports performance, right? Like if you want to run the 100 meters in a certain time, well, you're going to have to measure first of all.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's really useful advice. I'm sure it is something I think that we all do without necessarily putting it in those words.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, definitely.
So it's a really good framework to have. What we're going to measure now is your 5th Pokemon on your team.
Is it? Let me open up.
You're going to guess next. So we got Sunflora, we got Infernape, Single Strike Urshifu, and we've got Pidgeot.
Okay.
So who's number 5?
Next one, I'm going to be Persian. Normal Cantonian Persian. Now this one, I have to have this one because Persian is quite simple on this one. Learns Payday, Infinite Money Glitch. And that's why I love me some money. So, yes, come on. If I could just wake up in the morning and be like, Persian, just payday that wall a few times, yeah? And I can just wake up, scoop up all the money, then I'm a happy geezer. So, at that point, I don't have to worry about any kind of job. I can just do what I want and just, get Persian to do some payday and happy days. So, and I picked Persian over Meowth because at least if I got into a bit of a scrap, and Persian was the only Pokeball I had with me, at least Persian can do like some stab, slash or whatnot. So
yeah. Stab incidentally meaning same type of tap.
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah.
I'm familiar with that term. So Persian very much for what it represents rather than for an experience you've had with Persian.
100%. I don't think I have played a Persian deck before during the during the lockdown time. Actually, I think that video did okay as well, funnily enough. But I guess you could also, now think about it, you can make the argument, I'm a very entrepreneurial, business-minded person, so maybe that personifies into a Persian. So
yeah. No, it makes total sense. Persian, okay. I love that pick. I feel like going forward with the series, that's going to be quite a rare pick. So, yeah, we're going to have my eye out for Persian. It's an interesting Pokemon, isn't it? Because I feel like these days, or just any time post Generation 1, you would never have a Pokemon named after, a place.
Oh, yeah, true.
I feel like you just wouldn't get that kind of name.
No.
I feel like they've far more blurred the boundaries between sort of the real world.
Yeah, I never even thought about that. Yeah. I'm trying to find real quick. There's a Giovanni card. It was a Japanese only. We never got it in English, but the Persian's on it. Hopefully it shouldn't be too hard to find. Oh, it wasn't that one. Oh my goodness. Maybe I have to message you. Oh, there it is. Found it. Right, okay. It's just this stunning card. I'll message you it so you can put it on the video for the viewers to see it now. But it's like Giovanni sitting in his chair, and he's got Persian just looking over his shoulder, and just, oh my goodness, the card looks amazing. Let me put it in the chat so you can see as well. Actually, it's the card most on the right, and I'm just like, oh, that Persian. I want Persian watching my back like this. Persian is right now for Giovanni. So because Giovanni was a naughty geezer, and Persian's by his side. So and I need me some loyalty like that. So yeah.
No, it's true. It's a very loyal Pokemon. Yeah, I feel like I've seen. Yeah, I think I've seen that card before. That's quite menacing.
It is.
That's that's an excellent choice. Very nice. Okay, so now this, coming from content creation, taking that more seriously, that leads us into essentially the present day, the casting era.
Yes, no, 100%. So luckily, everything panned out in the sense that towards the, I'd say, second half of lockdown, Ethan Heggie was doing a lot of Pokemon TCG online events. Because at the time, obviously, people can't play over the table. So you had the official ones, you had Players Cup, and you had the unofficial ones. You had like Ethan Heggie doing a lot of them. You had the Dice Cup and the Sunday Open. And luckily enough, because I was making all this content at the time, people, even though he knew who I was at the very least. He commented on a few YouTube videos. And yeah, I thought, well, to be fair, I was watching some of his streams and I thought, I reckon I could do this casting business, me. Because I like being on camera. I've been practicing a lot on the camera. I can talk about Pokemon. And I'd like to think I've got the personality for it. So I reached out to him. And lucky enough, he was willing to give me an opportunity to cast one of his big events. I think it was the Heggie Endgame, it was called. So I actually managed to cast with Kirk Dubé, who now does the Unite stuff, crushing it over there. And I got to cast with Frosted Caribou as well, who now does some of the American events and all that. And done Worlds, I think, as well. So from there, I got my toes wet, and I was like, okay, I like it. No, I like this. I need to, and then I want to do this. Now, at the time, the European events weren't getting streamed officially. So it was just through Limitless for us. I think it was Victory Road for you guys over there on the VGC, and code didn't even exist at this time. So so I was like, so I reached out to the people at Limitless and I was like, how do I get involved? And they were like, well, we like you. We like you, first of all. So that's good. So and this is about when things started open back up again. So Liverpool regionals, this is what, 2022, I'd like to say, I think was the first one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 2022. So started hopping back in with the season then, doing pretty well. Did well at the EUIC that year, went 6-3. And then it was the season after that, actually. So after London Worlds, that's when I think I had my first opportunity to cast. It was Bilbao. Yes, it was. That's it. So it was Bilbao, September 2022. My first ever time got to cast a regional. This was for Limitless. And golly, baptism by fire. Let me tell you this now. So this is before all the fancy stages and everyone watching. So I kid you not, I get to the venue to help set up. I get to the venue. And I was always told I had to bring my own camera. That was going to be our face camera. This camera that I'm using right now was going to be our camera. So I had to bring that. So I get there. And the person, David Hockman, fantastic person, casted Japan Worlds, was like, don't suppose you brought a tripod with you, did you? And I was like, I did, actually. And he's like, good. Because if you didn't, we'd have to tape your camera to the wall. I helped got this set up. And quite honestly, it was literally just us talking to a camera. Did we? Oh, with headset mics. And then I'd say maybe 15 feet away, there's just a table, top-down camera. That was it. That is literally the regional setup. And as well, Connor Haywood, who does a lot of the TCG stuff behind the scenes now, and Amy Wasley, we're on Amy, Pumpkin Amy, she does some of the casting as well, big streamer, Twitch streamer. They were meant to come out and do it with us. So we have like a traditional 4-man team. But they had COVID, so they couldn't couldn't go over here. So while Connor was trying to work out how to get them to remote in and cast, me and David just had to go. We had to go. So I kid you not, Charlie, we did 6 rounds back to back to back to back with the last 4 all going to time. So there was no break. There was no break. I needed to pee so bad. So yeah, that was my first ever regional. So I thought, and on the back of that, I thought, well, if they're all like this and I still had fun, then I can do this. I can do this. So yeah, then look,
you weren't lying when you said baptism of
fire.
That
was, and I remember the next regional after that was Stuttgart. That was Amanda's first one as well, actually. Amanda, who does Pokemon Go, I should say, viewers. So that was the next one I did, casting. And I'm like, wow, so we've gone from bringing my own camera and tripod to all this. Oh, golly. And I remember when I Stuttgart Regionals, I was like, right, this could be your first and only chance you get to cast. So you need to leave it all there. You need to make sure on your flight home, you can say you gave it 100%, because if you don't, or if you can't say that and you never come back again, you're going to kick yourself until the cows come home. So I remember I got to cast with Mike Ellis, another TCG YouTuber now, obviously, caster, I should say. There's a lot of Rocket League as well. And he's such a professional. I got to cast with him. He's made it so easy. He did all the fancy, I say the fancy bits, but the intros and outros. He did all of that. All I had to do was talk about Pokemon loudly, which I can do. So he looked after me, and I managed to get a good few callbacks that season, and that sort of takes us where we are now, I guess. Now, obviously on official channels, I should say, managed to get an IC. I got LAIC. I remember it so well. Ran to my girlfriend and I was like, they want me to cast LAIC. She's like, what's that? What's going on? I was like, that's the one in Brazil. I was like, what? I've never been South America before. That's crazy talk. So, yeah, that was a big sort of proper hype moment for myself. Obviously, I wanted that IC. Once you get a few reasons about, I'm a greedy person. I wanted the IC. Didn't get it the season before. Was a bit upset. So to get it that early on in the season, the first one, LAIC, goodness gracious. I was so excited. So. And yeah, that kind of takes us where we are now for the casting, right? So,
yeah, I mean, entirely deserved as well. I think you know, I guess trading card game, especially, I guess because it's a slightly lower energy game, you're someone who just completely flips the script on that. You just bring your personality and completely liven it up, I guess.
Yeah, I guess it's something we might talk to do a little bit later as well, but I don't know. When I set up, when I wanted to start casting, I looked at it very business-like. I was like, right, these are your European casters. You have Joe, Ross, David, and I was like, well, how can I fit into that? Well, I can't really do the gameplay stuff better than Joe. Not many people can. So I was like, I'm not going to try and take you on that one. What I can do is get very loud and enthusiastic. And I thought, right, if I just super specialize in that, and hopefully everything else falls into place, because you can't really teach that. So that's what I did, and luckily it all panned out. It all panned out.
Yes, as you say, it's all about right place, right time, and identifying what you uniquely bring.
Yeah.
I think it's so much about. Don't try and be anyone else, because as you're saying, because that's not gonna let them be them.
Yes,
and you bring what you can uniquely do.
No, when I think back, like I only started uploading properly in 2020, and we're now in early 2024, and I've been to South America to cast, been to many European places. So yeah, sometimes I think when you're sort of there, I'm sure you're probably the same, right? When you're there doing it, you sort of sometimes you forget to take a step back.
Now, this is a good opportunity to ask you, Shai, who is your final Pokemon joining your dream team of 6? Who's joining Sunflora and Infernape, Single Striker, Shifu, Pidgeot, and Persian?
Yes, the last Pokemon. Well, it's a Pokemon I've done well with. I mentioned briefly EUIC Frankfurt top 256, went 6-3 with a Mew VMAX deck. However, Mew is not the Pokemon, even though Mew was the main focal point. It's the main attacker, and it's not even Genesect. Genesect will draw you a lot of cards in that deck. No. So, my favorite Pokemon from that deck was a little cheeky attacker, right? And one thing I really loved about this Mew VMAX deck back in the day was that you had a game plan if he was going first or second. If he was going first, you could set up your Pokemon, your Mew VMAX, very nicely. However, if he was going second, this is where the little sneaky would come in. So what you'd do, you'd use Alyssa Sparkle, which will let you grab 2 fusion energy from your deck and attach them to your Pokemon, right? So what you'd do, you'd get these 2 energy, attach them to this Meloetta, and then you'd attach another one from your hand. And what this did, and I'm fairly certain the game developers did not expect this to happen. What you'd do, you would now, on your first turn going second, be able to do 230 damage if you had like a damage modifier, right? And at the time, that would one-shot pretty much everything in format outside of VMAX Pokemon. So what it's going to let you do is sometimes just win games before your opponent had a chance to really do anything. And I loved it. I loved Meloetta so much. Even so much to the point where when the Mew VMAX deck pivoted away from Meloetta and it wouldn't play the fusion energy stuff, it would just play other stuff, I was flying the Meloetta flag. I was like, no. Meloetta is the way to go. And I remember at Malmo Regionals, I was casting that one. And then Mew VMAX with Meloetta got to the finals. And it won, and it was versus the sort of non-Meloetta Fusion Strike thing. And I was like, I'm so happy I'm getting to cast this, because this is literally like my thing. I played Mew VMAX right up, all the way from Liverpool 2020, 1 or 2 after the pandemic, all the way until now. It literally rotates in and around EUIC time, right? And I don't know what to do. I played Mew VMAX for the longest of times, and Meloetta was the sort of focal point for me in the deck. So yeah, Meloetta has to make it there. And I guess Meloetta as well, because it's a musical Pokemon. I've said I love my music, so me and Meloetta can have a little boogie, listen to some music as well.
Yeah, so it's joining in on those drum and bass.
Yeah,
drops.
or a bit of house,
You
bit
were
of
talking about.
techno. Yeah.
Meloetta, I love that choice. That's a Pokemon you don't hear about so often these days. What's interesting about that is so that means you've got 3 normal type
Oh
Pokemon on
yeah,
your
so
team.
I
You've got
have.
Pidgeot, you've got
Yeah,
Persian, and Meloetta as
yeah.
well. Is normal a type that you tend to gravitate towards?
Definitely not. No, I'm a fire and a fighting type, Donnie. They're my 2 favorite types. But I guess that's a good point. Yeah, a lot of normals. Yeah, what's
Yeah.
normal? Eat to fighting. Have I got any?
Oh,
I got
nice.
Pidgeot to cover that weakness. Let's go.
Yeah. You've got Pidgeot. So you've got
Yep.
Sunflora, Infernape, Single Strike Zaleshfu, Pidgeot, Persian, and
Yep.
Meloetta. Yeah.
That is
Diverse.
the 3. No, that is the 6, I should say. And I'll be very happy with that team.
So that's your team.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're happy with your team. And now what I want to know is which of those 6 Pokemon are you going to choose to be your partner Pokemon?
Oh, what a question. There's so many ways I could take this. Like, Meloetta has been there, you know, through the thick and thin. My best competitive finishes were with Meloetta. Infernape, like I said, we could hang at the gym. I think, you know, that's a very strong pick. Pidgeot, I got some very good finishes with as well. My marquee finish. Sunflora, you never have a sad time with Sunflora. But I think I do have to go Single Strike. I got to. He's the boy. He's my favorite. Gotta be Single Strike for him. And imagine you start your journey off a little Kung Fu as well. You know what I mean? And then it's like, I don't know, at some point in the game, 3rd, 4th, maybe 5th gym badge, you get the big geezer. So yeah, gotta be.
Yeah, growing alongside you. Before you know it, he's bench pressing you.
Maybe, probably would actually. How heavy is Single Strike? I'm gonna look that up. Oh yeah, so about 104 kilograms. So it's actually, we weigh about the same. So it's all just meant to be, we could just back each other. We're in the same weight class. So if we're having a little spar, we're fine. We can do the same weights at the gym. And yeah, we're both favorites. So it's just that if that doesn't encapsulate a partner, I don't know what does, Charlie, to be honest.
Exactly. I don't. How many people can say that their partner Pokemon is the same weight as them? That is absolutely what a fitting Pokemon.
Exactly.
Well,
I'm gonna check height now as well. Okay, he's a little bit taller, 6'3". That's fine though. That's fine. You can't have it all. I'll wear some heels.
You can't have it all. Okay. Yeah. So I've got Single Strike Urshifu as your partner. Now, a little bit more abstract. I want to know, based on everything we've heard we've heard a lot about your life story. If you were a Pokemon, what do you think you'd be?
Oh, goodness. What I think I'd be. Right, I'm not going to say Urshifu for this one because legendaries. I don't count. What Pokemon would I be? Huh. Interesting. Well, it's going to be a fighting type. It's got to be.
Yeah.
So it's a shame X-Plow's not fighting type. That would have been an easy pick. Maybe it would just be X-Plow still, you know? I mean, that kind of X-Plow is a big geezer. Hits hard.
Yeah.
Boom burst. I mean, no, it has to be X-Plow. Bring the noise. It's got to be. Yeah, it's got to be. It has to be. It has to be. It has to be. X-Plow. Got to be. We're here with that boom burst? Come on.
Yeah, no, I can definitely see the overlap there. I mean, I'm trying to think fighting type that could fill that. I'm trying to think if there are any fighting types that are kind of based on.
I've always joked about saying that I've got the physique of a throw, so you could.
I mean, yeah, the throw is just quite close to a person. Yeah, isn't it, as a Pokemon.
Although I'm looking up X-Cloud now, and it is called the loud noise Pokemon. I mean, it has to be right.
What do you think? Do you agree that Shai would be an X-Cloud? Do you think there'd be another sleeper pick that we haven't maybe thought of that Shai would be? Definitely let us know in the comments. We would, and Shai especially, would be fascinated to hear.
Oh, 100%.
To hear those thoughts based on everything you've heard from what Shai's been telling us. So now, speaking of that, it's time for questions from you all. So Shai and I posted online asking for questions from the community. He doesn't know which ones I've chosen. Thank you for sending them in, and I apologize instantly if I mispronounce any of your names or your handles. So, to kick things off, Shai, unsurprisingly, people have picked up on your workout routine. So two related questions here, and to be honest,
Yeah.
we've talked a little bit about this already, completely inadvertently.
Yeah.
So TC Judge Fabian Ammer asks,
Yeah.
how much do you bench press? And then Baturki asks, what's the biggest Pokemon you could bench press?
Okay, well, I'm going to look at what Pokemon weigh this amount. So
Okay.
my maximum bench press, I think I've actually got a video of it somewhere, maybe on TikTok. It was 155 kilograms.
Okay.
So that, I remember at the time, I looked it up. Mega Venusaur was 155 kilograms. So I could bench press a Mega Venusaur. Now, let's have a look. 150 to 199. Okay, so Emboar is 150. Gudra is 150. Walrein is 150. Chempao is 150 apparently. So Chempao and Emboar weigh the same. Kingdra,
hey, now we're talking.
There you go. Iron Crown is 156. So it looks like Mega Venusaur is the heaviest at 155, and Arcanine is 155. Kingdra is 152. So there you go. That's the ballpark where we're operating in there.
That's extraordinary. Also, the Walrein is slightly lighter than Mega Venusaur. I assume that would be a very heavy Pokemon. But
but Pokemon weights if you ever have a bit of free time, viewers, look at Pokemon weights and heights. You'd be surprised by some of them. They don't make sense.
I'm just picturing you bench pressing a Mega Venusaur now. I mean, that's unfathomable. So there you go. That's a very definitive answer to your question, and I hope you're impressed because I certainly am. Okay, so bring it back to TCG now. I love this question from iMac404. What is your favorite TCG card based on the art?
Wow, what a question. Favorite TCG card based on artwork. There's so many good cards in there as well. Artwork. Actually, I know what it is. I know what it is. Why am I I'm taking a mic. There's a Gyarados. Let me find a picture so you can see as well. So there's a Gyarados from Ancient Origins. And it's the only artwork I'd ever consider maybe getting tattooed on me, because everything about this card just screams like Gyarados. It's so like there's like a fisherman who's just brought him up. The look of fear in the Gyarados' eyes. I mean, in the fisherman's eyes as you look at this Gyarados, he's looking so menacing. Oh my goodness! I'm trying to find a picture now. Here we go. The card is just amazing, and you know what makes it really good as well is that this card was super playable. One of my favorite decks to play of all time. And caster Alex Dow won a special event and a regional back-to-back with this Gyarados card without losing a single round. Now, that's normally something you might hear in VGC because you can't tie. But in TCG, you can even tie. So to win 2 events back-to-back without losing a round with a deck that was extremely fragile, had a really easy-to-exploit weakness, it was just crazy. So that card, everything about it, I just love.
That's incredible. I'm just looking at this art now. That is really cool. And it's
menacing, isn't it?
As you say, it really encapsulates everything that Gyarados is about. And I feel like that's always the story with Gyarados, right? You just picture a fisherman just, oh, what's that? Boom. There's a Gyarados coming up.
I'm in trouble.
Wow, that very good choice. Very good choice. So, Gyarados card. So now, and again, I apologize for any mispronunciations. Nathan Viveka 8992 wonders, here we go, is there any deck you feel like you pioneered? And now, I know you said you could go on about this one. Try and keep it as concise as you can.
I think the best story, there's probably 3, but the one that I can 100% categorically and no one can deny that I 100% made was it was a Zacian deck, which is often paired with a tag team card called ADP. However, I cottoned on that there was a way to play it without this ADP, and you could get the sort of benefits of ADP without having to use it. And the story how I stumbled into this is wild. I think I've done a video on this on my channel with TCG Butterfly Effects. So get ready, this is a fun one. So Jirachi is one of my favorite Pokemon. And it's one of my favorite Pokemon because there was a card, I think in Lost Thunder, it was called Jirachi Prism Star, which was like a mechanic. But it had an ability called Wish Upon a Star. it was really hard to use, but if you could use it, you would get you a good effect, right? You could basically take an extra prize card if you took it as a face down prize card. However, at the time, you couldn't really manipulate your prizes very well. So unless you just happened to have it in the prize card, you weren't ever going to use it. I, however, didn't care about that. So I wanted to make this Jirachi work so bad. And the reason was there was a real good house song at the time by Nick Fansuli, a DJ, called Wish. And the chorus would go, "Wish upon a star." And ever since, I was like, right, that Jirachi became one of my favorite Pokemon instantly just from that, right? So I need to make this card work. So I was playing it for fun back in the fun era, just for, just like this. And then what happened was Detective Pikachu came out, and it had a little set with about maybe 20 cards, none of which were particularly impactful from the meta. But there was this one Mr. Mime card. And what it would let you do is when you benched it, so when you popped it into play, you could take the top card of your deck and you would swap it with one of your face down prize cards, right? Everyone else overlooked this. However, because I knew how Jirachi worked, I thought, wait a minute, we now have a reliable way to get Jirachi in the prizes. All I have to do is get Jirachi to be the top card on my deck, play Mr. Mime, swap around, and now if I take that Jirachi as a prize card, I can take an extra prize card. I can sort of quote unquote cheat an extra prize card. So I cottoned onto this immediately. So I made this Zacian Jirachi deck with all this ways to get the Jirachi into the prizes. And it ended up becoming a tier 1 deck. It won multiple online events. And I remember one of the best players of the TCG, Stefan Ivanov, his name is. This is even said on Twitter, someone was like, "Oh, where did this combozation deck come from?" I remember he tagged me. He was like, "Oh, I think Shai made it. Here's a video." That's what I love, because there's a timestamp right there. No one can say otherwise. I played that combozation deck first. It was a tier 1 archetype, and it did really well. The only problem is, I say problem, the only downer is that because this was due around the lockdown time, I could never take it to an over-the-table event.
Yeah. But still, I mean, as you say, you've got the evidence out there online.
Yes, 100%. No one can argue me on that one. I made that deck.
There you go. So there you go, Nathan. Shai is the OG of that. And then finally, just a nice comment to end on, really. Shortbread Dread asks, how is your commentary so good that even people who don't know anything about TCG enjoy watching it when you're casting?
Now, first of all, that's great, because I know he's a VGC player.
Yeah.
So I chat to him a lot, like a very fun guy. But going back to when I said I wanted to cast, I was looking at like unique selling points. One thing that was drilled into me early was that I'd say 75% of viewers aren't hardcore traveling up and down the country to play at Pokemon events. I watch a TCG stream. So when you think about who the average viewer is, they might know what these cards do, but they don't know these deep, intricate gameplay lines. They don't know who the players are, for example. So I thought, well, as well as trying to hit the very loud enthusiastic niche, I also want to be able to have anyone who's watching the stream at least know what's going on, right? So with that in mind, and with the content as well, actually really helped with this, I got really proficient in being able to trying to explain the complex gameplay in an easy to understand way. And that's something I always try to do with all my YouTube videos now, and I especially try to do it when I'm casting. So like, for example, whenever I hop onto a casting game, I'll always do a quick maybe 30 seconds to describe how these decks work. So I'd be like, Owen Cameron on the left, playing this Chen Power deck that relies on getting Bat's Caliber into play as soon as possible, so you can attach as many water energy as you like, because Chen Power discards them for 60 damage each. So just something quick like that, and everyone's like, right, so now I know he's trying to get the Bat's Caliber out so you can attack with the Chen Power. What's the other guy doing? And I know that's playing the other person's deck. And I feel like that's something that I think all of us casters as a whole should be trying to do, I think, just to make the streams as accessible for everyone. So that's something I try and do a conscious effort in. So I'm so glad that people pick up on that. I'm like, yes, I'm doing it well.
Agreed. Yeah. No, that's absolutely a staple across the streams. It's interesting to think about, isn't it? How many viewers are more casual viewers and how many are more in-depth viewers? But I completely agree with you. It's and I think there's got to be that balance in casting of the people who are bringing the in-depth knowledge and the people who are trying to get everyone involved. So that's that's just one of the reasons, I'm sure, Shai, why you're such a popular TCG caster. There's obviously so much that you bring to the table. So Thank you so much, everyone, for those really interesting questions. And if you want to submit questions for a future episode, keep an eye on my socials, Chazingdra and Chazingdra Chats. I'd love to hear what you'd love to hear. So, Shai, we've heard your story up to now. What's next for you?
What's next? Well, just continuing to make content. Now I'm like starting to do I'm trying to do massive videos now, because that's what I enjoy watching, sort of long form stuff. So the last video on my channel, if anyone's seen it, was going through every Pokemon TCG set, all the way back from base set, which is 1999, all the way up till now. We look at every single set for about maybe 5 minutes or so, and we look at the best cards in that set, the worst cards in that set, and then some honorable mentions. So it's like a complete encyclopedia of the Pokemon TCG. So I'm gonna start trying to do more big projects like that. That's what I really enjoy doing. They've been received well, and again, it's a good entry point. I've had loads of people comment saying I don't even play TCG. I play Yu-Gi-Oh. I play VGC. Even had a few of them actually. But now I know what's going on. I understand, at least to some level. So it's a good entry point for people. So yeah, and hopefully casting more regionals, internationals, and maybe, you never know, maybe at some point there could be a Worlds mixed in there as well. So yeah, that's probably about it, I'd say, for me.
Good for you. Well, I mean, clearly this is stuff that you thrive on, and so it's good to hear that you'll just plan to do more of that. And finally, so looking back from now as a very well-respected caster and a very well-respected content creator, all the way back to the Shai who couldn't get through Ice Path in Pokemon Gold.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to that young you?
Wow, I'd say, what advice to my younger self? Make informed decisions. I always said what measure gets improved, so don't be doing stuff willy-nilly. Keep your business hat on. Always be thinking. Always have fun. If you have fun while you're doing the stuff you love, then it's a whole lot easier. And I guess, yeah, always, it's going to sound quite bad now, but always keep that entrepreneurial hat on. Always think, how can I be doing this better? How can I market this better? How can I package things so, everyone can enjoy it, right? Because the thing is with content creation, it's like you create the best video ever, but then if it's not packaged well, no one's going to see it. Like, you know what I mean? So you have to take that stuff seriously. So always keep that in the back of your head. But yeah, have fun. Keep the business hat on, and good things happen. That's what I'd say.
Yeah. Well, wise advice indeed. And I think, yeah, it's, especially in the content creating world, it's something that everyone's got to, probably none of us are considering quite enough. There's always more that we could be doing. And it's just useful in any walk of life as well, alongside having fun. And I'm glad that you...
Oh, of course. Oh, yeah.
So, now, the chat doesn't actually end there. Stay tuned for the announcement of next week's guest. But also, I'm about to ask Shai 15 or so minutes worth of bonus questions he hasn't prepared for. Like, I mean, you've just turned purple. Like, what's the craziest experience Shai's ever had? Maybe it's turning purple right here, right now. And if Shai could be any Pokemon, what would he choose to be rather than what he thinks he would be? So, if you want to hear those questions, you can subscribe to me on Patreon, linked below, and that supports me and the podcast. So I can keep creating content like this. So it's hugely appreciated. Only, of course, if you're in a position to be able to do that. But either way, thank you so much for listening. It really means a lot, and I love this improvised lighting that we've got going on here, Shai, as well.
There we go.
Shai,
We're back.
Yeah. Shai, thank you so much for coming on to Chazingdra Chats. It's been fascinating to hear from you. I feel like I'm taking away a huge amount from that, and I'm sure that everyone watching and listening is doing that too. So thank you so much for being here.
No, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. I hope viewers, you've enjoyed that. And yeah, make sure to stick around. Get involved with that Patreon, because it's going to get fun down there. And make sure to get back for some more episodes here, because I know Charlie's got some good guests planned. I have a little bit of prior knowledge, me. So yeah, make sure to stick around.
That's true. And if the bonus content with Lee last time is anything to go by, yeah, it all goes down in the bonus subscriber bit. So definitely consider doing that if you can. And if people want more Shai in their lives, where can they find you online, Shai?
Yeah, so if you want to get more involved with some TCG stuff and just have some fun, really, I'd say YouTube, probably the best place, at BurtsTCG. Now, the content might not be as frequent, but because I'm trying to make these big, long, mega projects, but you've got that 4-hour video to get your teeth stuck into, going through all the Pokemon sets, so go do that. Got like an hour video of like the first the most hated cards in Pokemon history. Got another one that's like the worst cards in Pokemon. That was quite fun actually. So I got some fun stuff there. And then I'd say Twitter, X as well, at BurtsTCG again, if you're looking for more quick fire stuff. And then Instagram, trying to get the Instagram bit more traction. I'm going to start posting exclusive content down there at BurtsTCG as well. Oh, and actually as well, if you want some more fun stuff, because I've said how I want to do these mega long projects, right? Well, you can't have as much fun with them, I'd say. So get on the channel at BurtsTCG, but shorter. That is the channel name. I've got some fun stuff planned for that channel. Got some silly stuff that I can't put on the main channel. So yeah, get involved there as well.
That's a whole lot of Burt's content that I'm looking forward to getting involved in. I remember saying to you before, just stumbling across some of your videos, and yeah, I highly encourage you to go and follow Shai, because no matter what your area of interest is within Pokemon, there's going to be something for you there. And if you enjoyed what you've heard, then please do follow or subscribe to the podcast wherever you're listening, as really helps me out, and turn on notifications so you're the first to know when a new episode drops. Leave a comment too. Shai's given us so much food for thought, so he and I would be fascinated to hear what you think, and I'd love to know what your 6 Dream Team Pokemon would be. So let me know in the comments, and thank you, Shai, for doing the sort of the aeroplane demonstration version of what I'm saying
down below.
If you want to keep up with all the latest on the podcast, then you can, and with me, then you can follow Chazingdra Chats and my personal account Chazingdra on X, Instagram, and TikTok, like you, Shai. Getting going on more of the social media as well. You can also join my Discord community, and everything is linked below. I'd love to see you there. It'd be a pleasure to have you on board. It's going to be a lot of fun next week as well, because my guest will be Pokemon Go caster and content creator, the fantastic Amanda Lundberg. Shai, you and I have both worked with Amanda a lot. It should be a fun one, shouldn't it?
Yeah, my very first regional, Stuttgart Regionals, was her first regional as well. So we've been going for the longest of time, and yeah, she's fantastic Go caster. So that's going to be a good episode.
Definitely tune in for that. You've got Shai's approval there as well. Now, I'd love to branch out beyond the competitive scene too with the guests I have on. So if you have any suggestions, you can email me, chazingdra@gmail.com, or again, find me on the socials I've mentioned. And fundamentally, I want to make the best podcast for you all that I possibly can. So any feedback at all, do let me know. Right then, Shai, time for these bonus questions. And if you're not joining us for that, then it's goodbye from Shai.
See you later, guys. Have fun. But make sure to get on the Patreon so you can get all the fun stuff, baby. Let's go.
And it's goodbye from me. I can't wait to see you next time on Chazingdra Chats, where there'll be another 6 Pokemon, 1 life story. All right, Shai, you ready for some surprises?
Yep, I'm ready. I ain't got a clue what's coming out here, so...